making it very clear the only reason our founding fathers used this inclusive term all men is because they had a very narrow definition of who was actually human. This makes the Declaration of Independence a racist document that assumes the dehumanization of indigenous peoples and people of color. Now, a few years later, the Founding Fathers wrote another document. They began this document with the words, "We the people of the United States," in order to form a more perfect union. However, just a few lines later, Article 1, Section 2, the section of the Constitution that determines who is and who is not covered by this Constitution, who is and who is not a part of this union, Article 1, Section 2 never mentions women, it specifically excludes natives, and it counts Africans as 3/5 of a person. Literally, the Constitution was written to protect white landowning men. We don't ponder that very often. We act surprised today that women earn 70 cents to the dollar. This shouldn't shock us. The Constitution's working. We act surprised that our prisons are filled with people of color. This shouldn't surprise us. Our Constitution's working. We act surprised that in 2010, the Supreme Court sided with Citizens United and ruled that now corporations have the same rights to political free speech as individuals, opening the door for super PACs and unlimited contributions to political candidates. This should not surprise us. The Constitution's doing exactly what it was designed to do. It's protecting the interests of white landowning men. Now, many people think, wait, didn't we change that? Didn't we correct that? Well, Congress tried. About 100 years later, we passed the 13th Amendment. Most people believe that the 13th Amendment actually abolished slavery. It didn't. The 13th Amendment abolished slavery except as a punishment for a crime, whereby the party has been duly convicted. Slavery is alive and well in the United States of America. It's just been redefined and codified under the jurisdiction of the criminal justice system. So when we look at our incarceration rates as a nation, we have the highest incarceration rates in the history of any country in the world. For every 100,000 of our citizens, we incarcerate 693. It's 110 higher than the next highest country, which is Turkmenistan, and about 4 to 5 times higher than most other countries in the world. And when we break those numbers out by race, it's even worse. We incarcerate Hispanics and Latinos at a rate of about 831 per 100,000. We incarcerate natives at a rate of 895 per 100,000. And we incarcerate black people at a rate of 2,306 per 100,000. Whites, on the other hand, are incarcerated at a rate of 450 per 100,000. So clearly, slavery was never abolished. It's just now been redefined, codified. It's under the jurisdiction of our criminal justice system, and it is alive and well today. A few years after that, we passed the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment was actually a direct address of Article 1, Section 2. The 14th Amendment extends the right of citizenship to anyone born on this continent under the jurisdiction of the government. However, Section 2 of the 14th Amendment, it still specifically excludes natives, specifically excludes women. It still allows rights to be taken away based on punishment for crime. So while the 14th Amendment extends some rights of citizenship to a few former male slaves, it still leaves women disenfranchised who don't get the right to vote till women's suffrage in 1920. It does nothing for natives who don't become citizens till 1924, and in the Southwest, our tribes don't get the right to vote till 1948. And we can't forget that Jim Crow laws were written after the 14th Amendment. Segregation happened after the 14th Amendment. Boarding schools were enacted after the 14th Amendment. Still Indian removal happened after the 14th Amendment. Internment camps happened after the 14th Amendment. And in the 1970s, the 14th Amendment was the amendment used in Roe versus Wade, which now concluded unborn babies aren't human, and therefore they can be aborted. What this demonstrates is at the heart of the Constitution, there's not a value for life. The value is for exploitation and profit, and the assumption is that of dehumanization. This makes the Constitution of the United States a systemically racist and sexist document that assumes the white landowning male has the authority to decide who is and who is not human.